Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, I am Juti. You can find me at Wear.Juti.Eats on Instagram. And today we are very comfy, we're casual, we're cozy on the sofa, and I am going to talk you through how I edit my Instagram photos. So today I'm going to show you my basic day-to-day photo, as well as the cool kind of fake film effect that I achieved over some of the night shots that I did over Christmas. So if that's something that you want to find out more about, then please do keep watching. Okay, so first I'm going to show you kind of like my day edit, so to speak, just like my typical edit that I would do on more or less all of my photos on Instagram. I'm going to put a screen recording over here so you can see a bit clearer. Everybody pray that my phone has enough memory to do this, because I was supposed to film this yesterday and it didn't have enough memory, so I've deleted some stuff. We pray. Okay, so my edit is actually quite minimal. I would say I try to get good lighting when I take the picture. Usually if the lighting's really bad, I don't tend to use that picture. I will always try and make it work because I hate having gone out for the day and then coming home and feeling like I don't have anything, but I will try and plan days on where it's not raining, it's not too dark, etc, etc, so that you have nice lighting, just because I prefer a very like natural filter to the photos that isn't tweaking too much. Okay, yeah, so let's go with this photo. I actually shared it the other day, so this is the original and I'm going to show you what I do. So the first thing I do is go to Colourtone. I paid for a bunch of presets here, so let me delete that image. So you tap in the top left to import the photo. So once we import the image, we tap the little icon on the bottom left. We then tap filters. So I actually paid for these Bonnie C filters here. So you get a bunch free if you can't tell. So you get a couple free here. And then the locked ones are the ones that you need to pay for. So I basically paid for this collection at the beginning. So the filter that I usually use is Bora Bora. So if you tap on it once and then tap on it again, it will show you how you can tweak the intensity, as you can see there. So I usually have this, I don't know, anywhere between like the 15s and the 30s. So let's say we go for like 28. So as you can see when I'm holding it down, it's super subtle. So at that point I will export the photo and I will export it into Lightroom. So Lightroom is kind of where I do my main tweaking of the image. Again, it is still very subtle, but I will show you what I do there. So this is now the image imported into Lightroom. So at this point I would go onto the light feature at the bottom and I lower the contrasts slightly. Maybe for this one we'll go to like -20. Highlights I also tend to take down. So I kind of do what I would do for any other photo, see how it looks. If I need to tweak it further, we go from there. So every photo is obviously, as you can understand, not the same, but this will give you a rough idea of what I do every time. So we'll take the highlights down, see if we need to take the shadows up. Sometimes I find if I wear black, I don't want to take the shadows up too crazy. So if we go there, do we need the whites to be taken up maybe slightly so it looks a little bit nicer and brighter? Sometimes if it's super white and exposed, I will take the whites down. And then black, as you can see, this is what it does there. So I don't think we really need to tweak that one too much. I don't mind black on my feed. So now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking we'll edit everything and then we'll go back to lights if I think it might feel a bit too dark. So in colour, one thing that I always try and check is the blues, because sometimes I find them quite jarring. If you put it all the way up there, you can see where the blues are in the photo. So I tend to try and take that down a bit. And sometimes if it's a bit too yellow, I also take down the yellows as well. So you're taking down the saturation of both of those colours. And then again, if there's any other colours, like sometimes I'll shoot and there'll be like a red car in the background and I'm like, God, that's really like bright and in the way. Then you can desaturate the colours that way or select the space and desaturate it. But yeah, things like blues and stuff, especially if I'm at like a cafe, I find it reflects the sky quite a lot. So then I always take the blues down and I feel like it just makes the photo feel a bit warmer. So once we've done colours, we go on to effect and I always put dehaze on. I'm not actually sure what dehaze means, but it was like one thing I did ages ago and now I just always do it, but I don't actually know what dehaze does. So very minimal. It always tends to be between 1 and like 7, 8. So this is basically it without, I don't know, a low dehaze. So this is kind of what it does. I feel like it's almost a bit like a contrast. So yeah, I'm going to put that on 8 and then I didn't add anything else here. So I put the sharpening on about between 30 and 40, 40 for this one, and then I also upped the noise reduction, which kind of basically, I think it basically makes your skin like feel a bit smoother. Like it kind of makes the just the photo feel smoother, and just naturally that looks nice for your skin. So I tend to always put the noise reduction. We'll have a look, and then I always zoom in because I don't want it. See, this is like quite crazy over like smooth, so we'll go quite low on this one because I don't want it to look like unnaturally smooth. So that's a 15. So this is the photo so far. That is my usual edit. If you have like some lines, this one I can tell is taken straight just because the white wall, that line is really straight for me. But if not, you can also, sometimes I also use the feature of geometry, and then I just put that on auto and it will straighten up the photo for you, so it's just more pleasing to the eye, I find. But I mean, that's a really minor tweak, so we can leave that. That hasn't really changed anything. So now if I show you before and after of the photo, if I hold it down, you can kind of see the difference. It's very, very minimal, as I said. You probably don't even notice it, but I do just feel like it gives it a lot softer finish, basically. So that's the before and afters, and then obviously you can see where the geometry's tweaked it slightly. And then obviously all the photos that you upload onto Instagram are in a grid of 4x5 for me at least. So then I'll put it in the sizing, and then I usually kind of toy between the two middle and bottom center grid, I guess. So if we put that like that, and I just try to place, I like to be in the middle of my photos, so, but I find sometimes when I'm leaning to the side, if you put your head in the middle, it looks like it's all leaning to one side, so it's more like my general body, I want to be in the middle, so let's go to like here maybe. And then yeah, let's go for here. Is that fine? Yeah, I feel like the geometry's throwing me because I didn't have that on the original, so let's put that back. So minor, don't know why that would make any difference. Okay, yes, and then let's crop, and let's just put a little less space on the bottom. So I feel a little, okay, so let's see the light. Do you want to add a bit of contrast? No. Highlight? No, perfect. So we're going to leave it like that for this photo. As I said, really small edit. So that was on Colourtone, the Bora Bora Plus filter, and then those tweaks on Lightroom. And then I'll see how it looks in my grid. So when I actually export, let me show you that quickly. So when I export the photo, you can click next to the export to camera roll button, there's like toggles. So when you type that, click that, I just export it as a JPEG in small, just because the memory on my camera is not very, like on my phone, sorry, even is not very good. And then the image quality I put onto 70%. So I saw this like hack, I guess, on TikTok, where she said that the reason her photos look super clear is because she exports them with 70% and then adds sharpening on Instagram, and that's just what I've been doing since then. And people always ask me if I take my photos on a camera, so I don't feel like it makes that much of a difference, but clearly you guys are thinking the photo looks nice. So that is just how I export it. So for my feed planning, I use Preview. I just find it the easiest one to use, and then for anywhere that I'm not sure where to spit it out, Juti. So for anywhere where I need to like put a placeholder, I just import like a blank kind of square so that I know here, as you can see, so I know that I'm going to put a different image there. So that's the image in the grid at the bottom. I'm thinking that looks absolutely fine, the brightness is fine, I don't need to tweak it. Sometimes if I need to tweak the brightness, I will go onto Kuni. So I just find this app really good for just doing a natural brightness without doing some crazy, do you know what I mean, like when you edit brightness on Instagram. So you click edit here, edit again, and then there'll be a brightness toggle. So this is what, do you see what I mean? It's quite natural. I only ever put it on like in the 20s like that. So it's really subtle, but you can see that it's changed it quite nicely. So if sometimes I feel like a photo's too bright or too dark even, that's where I will edit the brightness. But for this one, I feel like it's absolutely fine, so we don't need it, but I just thought I'd show you. Okay, oh my god, what is this bit of French saying? I can't deal with her. Could she behave? Behave, please. So that is my day-to-day edit. I'm going to show you another app now as well, which is literally going to change your life. I'm sure most of you have already heard of it, but it's Retouch. So Retouch is perfect for like basically removing imperfections. And by imperfections, for me, it's usually like you take a photo and you didn't see like a bit of rubbish on the floor looks uneven in colouring, or there's marks. So the perfect photo that I'm going to show you for this. So basically I shot in North Greenwich like I think a couple of days or weeks ago, and the floor of like the lift was like really like mucky basically from where everyone had walked. So unfortunately, I think I actually modified the image. So I'm going to find one that I didn't upload, and then so I can just show you what I did to the bottom. We are going to go onto the Retouch app. We're going to import the image that I've just selected. And then what we're basically going to do is remove all these imperfections kind of at the bottom by my feet that don't look very nice, basically. So by no means am I perfect at this. Retouch is really like, kind of like, almost like trial and error. Like sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't, so like this, I'm a bit like, we want that line to form, don't we? Like this, there you go. So I kind of make it look just so it's like not noticeably bad, you know? So like when we zoom out, it doesn't look like horrific, and we can always go back. So then this mark here will not do, that will be removed. Over here, you can remove. You literally, all you do is take the brush, I just highlight what I want to remove like that, and then just click go in the like corner, and it should just remove it quite nicely for you. Okay, so that is basically, I would say, most of the areas removed for the sake of me showing you the difference in the photo. So if you hold into the corner there, you can see that I've removed all those marks on the bottom, and it just looks so much cleaner without the like all the dirt at the bottom, and it's just a nicer photo to look at. Like you're not distracted by anything, you're just paying attention to kind of like the outfit basically. So I would then modify this. So when you export it here, if you tap in, there's an option that says modify the original. So you can either save it as a copy if you're not sure, but obviously for this one I would just modify it, because why would I want the dirty floor in the image? So then after that, I would then obviously import it into Colourtone, put the same filter onto it, and then tweak it again in Lightroom like I did before. So now I'm going to show you how I did those night effect photos. So let's have a look. So first of all, the photos that I used were actually taken on a Canon with a flash. So it depends. In that situation, there was no light basically coming in front of you. Like a couple of my night photos, if I put them here, I would just kind of use the natural light that was facing me. So I'll kind of pick to stand in front of a building that's emanating. Is that the right word? A building that's giving off like a lot of light so that it's shining onto my face basically, and just picking, you can still see everything. But for this one, because we were on the balcony, it was kind of the effect of the whole, the background and stuff like that, like being next to St. Paul's, it was really cool. We used flash for this one. So again, we're going to go into Colourtone, and we are going to import that image, hopefully if this uploads. So if we scroll down, I believe, let's do this one. So the photo looks super different when we're done with it basically. So this was the original photo that I took on the Canon. As you can see, I mean, it's really clear. It's such a good quality when you take it on a camera. I kind of forget because I shoot everything on my phone these days. So from here, I mean, this is complete guesswork, and film photos are no way my forte, so I just tried my best, and I feel like you guys did like it. So I kind of went through the filters that I had, and I just felt that Bora Bora is obviously too warm for film, so Uluwatu for me like works the best. It gives that cool kind of like a bit of a cooler tone, which I don't usually go for, but in this instance I feel like it works really nicely. So I think I actually left it on full intensity for this one, and then I exported it into Lightroom. Okay, so once it's in Lightroom, I obviously cropped it to the right size. On cameras, you have to crop a bit more from the top and the bottom than you would your regular phone. So for the sake of this, let's just leave it as that. And then I kind of did my usual again. So we took the contrast down, we took the highlights down. Do we want the shadows to come up a bit, maybe slightly? The whites, I think did I take up the whites a bit? Yeah, I think so. And then, oh my god, very bare piece on low. So, and then I think for the blacks, we'll take it up slightly again. And then the main effect will come a bit later, and then you can always go back and tweak it. So that's, I kind of just like lifted up the shadows a bit from that. Lowered the contrast, lowered the highlights as per usual. Up the shadows, up the whites slightly, but we might take them down because I'm thinking that wall at the side is looking very bright. So let's not be too crazy. And then we've upped the blacks a little bit. And then in colour, I think I might have lowered the yellows a little bit. There's not actually that much yellow in it, I don't think. Oh yeah, the background. The yellows a bit, and then you can always take down the reds if you want, because obviously that bust, oh no, because my skin, this is the issue with the reds, like my skin does have a lot of red tone in it, so it picks out. But no, I think that's fine. Let's leave that as is. And then we go on to effects, and the main effect that you're going to use for, oh, no, not you, D-Haze. The main effect that we're going to use for this one is grain. So grain basically gives you, this is the extreme that I'm showing you, at 100. So that obviously gives you a kind of film effect. So I move it down until I feel like it's a natural kind. This is quite close, I think, like a little 27, 30. You don't want it to be over-grained, but at the same time you don't want it to look like you haven't taken it on a film camera, you know? So I'm thinking we're rocking around the 22s, do we think? Like, that's a nice level, right? You can always add a bit of dehaze. Again, I don't even know what it does, I just always add it. And then the detail, sharpening, again, maybe not too much, because I find when you sharpen with grain as well, it can look a bit weird, so just be careful with the sharpening that it's not going to, do you see what I mean? Because it'll really pick up the grain, so I don't tend to sharpen it as much, but obviously we still want a bit of definition. Do we want, not noise, colour noise, do we want normal noise? A little bit, I don't know if that's changed anything, but if we hold it next to each other, there you go. So this is giving you a kind of more like film effect, like I said. I'm going to show you the before and afters now. So this is before, where it's just a regular camera photo, and this is after. So as you can see, it's put like a nice, lowered the highlights. It's softened it, but I think the grain is your friend on this one. That is basically how you make it look, and just it always has like a bit of a cooler tone, I find, on film. Like maybe not cooler, but almost like a bluey greeny undertone, which is not something I would use on my regular photos, but for the occasional night photo I think it looks pretty cool. So that is it on how I edit my photos. As I said, I think the key to taking good photos is definitely the lighting. I tend to not bother if the lighting's not very good, and that also makes it a lot easier in the editing process. Like the photo will be clearer, and I just feel like you don't need to tweak as much, like it will just naturally look a bit more pleasing to the eye. Each photo is different, as I said, but as a generic baseline, that is what I do when I edit my photos. If you have any questions, or if I didn't explain anything very well, then please do you can either DM me on Instagram or just drop a comment below, and I will 100% get back to you and try and explain myself better, because it's the first time I've done one of these videos, so I don't really know how it's going to work with the screen recording and me talking, but hopefully it was fine. That is it for now. I'm going to go get something to eat because my stomach is literally rumbling so hard. I will catch you guys in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram to keep up to date. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Love you, and see you in my next video.